Well, the big week has arrived when India is going to host the G20 summit, a summit that will see several world leaders coming to the Indian national capital, Delhi. With me is the man of the moment in many senses, Muktesh Pardeshi, who is the special secretary at India's G20 Secretariat and also dealing with the operations and logistics as well. So, my first question to you, sir, is when it comes to dealing with operations, if you can talk about how your presidency has been. I think we have hosted a lot of events across the country from the length of the and breadth of country. So if you can talk about that as well, so how difficult it might have been and how challenging or challenges you faced as well.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to your show. We have been preparing for this week for last 1 year. The G20 Secretariat, where we are speaking, it was created in February last year. Since then, we developed an operational plan, a plan for logistics, media management, security protocols, and all other associated arrangements. So as we are getting close to the summit, we have an experience of dealing with some 200 meetings in all over India. So in 60 locations, we have hosted G20 meetings and events. So I would say there is a certain level of self-assurance that we have when we are going to lead to the summit this week.
So the summit happens on 9th and 10th. If you can talk about, perhaps not diverting a lot of details, but if you can talk about what can be expected in terms of the leaders' visit, locations perhaps they are planning, or perhaps their spouses might be going to some other places, because we of course will be bringing the best of best and show the best of Indian culture as well.
Well, as viewers know, most of the leaders will arrive on 8th. Some might arrive also on 7th, late evening, night. So 8th is basically day of arrival. Main meetings will take place on 9th and 10th at Bharat Mandapam. It's a newly named and newly built convention center which has come up at Pragati Maidan. This is a very modern convention center, and this has facilities for hosting the main the conference, the G20 summit, as well as we have been able to create all associated facilities at Bharat Mandapam itself. For instance, in Bali, where the media center was in some other place, it was not at the leaders convention center, but here at Bharat Mandapam, it's a self-contained unit where we have delegates lounge, where we have the leaders meeting room, and the large media center is also coming up at Bharat Mandapam. We also have a place, an exhibition come sale called Crafts Bazaar, which will happen next to the media center. Apart from that, there are several exhibits and we can speak about that. But so far as the program is concerned, 8th arrival, 9th there will be 2 sessions, inaugural session, and then after lunch there will be session. In the evening, as per the convention in G20 summits, there will be a gala dinner offered by the Indian side, which will be attended by all the leaders and their spouses, plus prominent delegates. And on 9th, there will be the last and concluding session, where there will be a few minutes also dedicated on symbolic handing over to Brazil. And as you know, Brazil will be taking over presidency from us from 1st of December. So this handing over is very symbolic. In fact, India will continue to do its role, perform its role as G20 the president until 30th November.
You talked about gala dinner. Can we expect, music of course, but if you can talk about what is expected there, because usually from the previous G20 summits, I can tell you that they have presented some musical show or some songs. So what kind of lineup is expected there?
Well, some kind of the cultural program is of course part of the gala dinner. We'll have a musical ensemble presenting some classical and folk, I would say, the instrumental music to leaders. The whole idea is also to allow leaders to converse, and because they are important, their time is important. The dinner is also utilized for social interaction amongst the leaders. So lighter music will allow them to make conversation, make acquaintance, and carry on interaction with other world leaders.
And maybe perhaps Natu Natu as well. We can see the leaders perhaps shaking a leg at Natu Natu.
Well, the exact how it will be choreographed and different components, that's being done by the cultural group. I can broadly share that it will be a combination of classical and folk, not necessarily on filmy, but the focus would be more on classical and folk instrumental music.
So usually, as you pointed out, when it comes to these summits, countries use this as an opportunity to showcase themselves. We saw that in Bali, we saw that in Rome, Osaka. There are several summits I can talk about. You talk about the crafts which will be there. If you can give more details as to what kind of crafts we can expect, which media personnel or any other part of delegation can go and see.
Well, from the beginning, when we took over the presidency, and in one of the Mann Ki Baat address, Prime Minister himself had shared his vision about conducting the G20 meetings. So, as part of our hospitality sharing strategy, we are focusing on 3 C's in big manner: culture, crafts, and cuisine. You will also see focus on these 3 C's during the summit. In terms of culture, at Bharat Mandapam, what we are going to do with the assistance of Ministry of Culture is to create an exhibition on Bharat, the mother of democracy. So there will be several panels which will be installed at the media center and at the delegates the lounge, showcasing the evolution, birth and evolution of democratic credentials in our country. So that's one narrative that is being created through our G20, the presidency. Apart from this, there is also a cultural gallery where exhibits and artifacts from the participating G20 countries will also be displayed. That will again happen at Bharat Mandapam. There will be separate cultural program and exposure to crafts for the spouses at Jaipur House. Apart from this, the crafts bazaar, the central idea is the delegates who are coming and they have paucity of time. So they can walk across to the crafts bazaar, they can see exhibition and also buy. And the shopping experience will also, the means for payment etc. will be through digital means. So besides the crafts bazaar, we are creating an experience, digital experience zone, so that delegates who are visiting India, they can see for themselves the advancement in digital technology sector, improvements and transformation through UPI, Aadhaar and other such platforms will be showcased during the summit, for which the Ministry of IT and RBI is also helping us.
So essentially we'll see the revolution, the IT revolution in India, the democratic evolution, and of course craft and cuisine as well. But so moving on to the protocol aspect, dealing with so many leaders is not an easy thing. The last time we hosted so many leaders was ASEAN summit, the ASEAN leaders who came for the Republic Day basically, not the summit. But essentially when it comes to dealing with so many leaders, how difficult it is, how challenging it is, and what kind of protocol you have put in place when it comes to the arrivals and of course their 2-day or 1-day stay here in the Indian national capital?
As you know, our chief of protocol is responsible for reception and conducting of leaders' arrival, departure, and their bilateral meetings. So for last few months, we have been working on a plan, reception plan at the airport, how they'll be received, how they'll be ferried to different hotels, and we are working very closely with security apparatus, which is led by Delhi Police at the front. Then for each delegation, for each foreign leader, we have a liaising team, younger officers from MEA and from other ministry. We have created a team. So if there is a delegation of X, so few people are already identified and their names and contact details are shared with the embassies. So they are in touch with each other about their bilateral requirements, what kinds of things we need to know about their arrival or departure schedule, if there are any dietary restriction, if there are any special bilateral meeting which their embassy might be organizing. So this liaising team has been in touch with each delegation, and these teams are also attached to international organizations. So by now we have a fair idea of their requirements, and we are sharing details about their movement and hospitality plan through our liaising team. So I would say the chief of protocol and his setup is fully geared to look after the arrival, departure, and conduct of their meetings, etc. One thing I wanted to add here, apart from the security, when we talk about hospitality and the protocol, the medical facilities is very important. So Director General of Health Services, which is under Ministry of Health, we have developed a plan which incorporates number of hospitals. They have been readied to take care of any medical emergency and evacuation as well. So protocol, security, and medical arrangements, they work in tandem to give a very pleasurable experience to each delegation visiting.
Any special request by any delegation that we would like to have this?
No, there are always, you know, when we are dealing with the leaders and any country for that matter. I mean, we cannot have one clear-cut benchmark. Yes, there are some standard the protocols in place, but there are always some give and take, and understanding of their security requirement, understanding of their the leaders' medical requirement, and some bilateral requests which flowing from each delegation. That's the job of the protocol, to have a standard template, but at the same time respond to any particular request.
So it is a whole of government approach, it is a whole of society approach in many ways as well. But talking about numbers, how many personnel, whether it's MEA or other ministries, security, can you give a ballpoint figure as to how many people are involved exactly to deal with the entire summit proceedings?
Well, we have not calculated as such, but there is the big number. For example, Delhi Police has deployed a large number of personnel to take care of security requirement. Medical side, I can say some 500 people are directly working with this, because at each hotel there is a small medical unit, and all sites where the leaders will be visiting, there are medical facility being created. Apart from each hospital creating a dedicated G20 cell. So if there are some 20 hospitals involved, you can imagine certainly 500 doctors and medical personnel are in readiness to help us out. Now, from the G20 Secretariat, apart from the normal size that we have, which is around 150 to 200 people, MEA is deploying large number of people from other divisions. Some colleagues have also come from embassies to help us out. And at the instruction of Honorable Prime Minister, we have inducted approximately 140 young officers from different services to help us out. They are from IAS, IPS, the Forest Service, and representing different central services like railway and telecom services. They joined on 17th August. I think the idea behind, and see, Honorable Prime Minister is very keen to impart the experience, knowledge, and to the newer generation. That's why special focus is to involve some 140 younger officer who have 5 to 7 years of work experience. They are working with us. Then they have been divided into different the groups, and that has been a great help. And this is how we are creating capacity amongst the younger civil servants.
So my last question to you is, there are a lot of rumors going around as well. For the common man, city will face certain restrictions. It is natural as well, because so many leaders are coming. You can't have so many people just running around. But will it impact the common man in terms of their facilities, hospitals, or emergencies? If you can give details or clarify on this, and any traffic restrictions they are looking at. I mean, what will you send a message to these people who are waiting for a long weekend as well? We have a long weekend in terms of work-wise, but they might be having a long weekend in terms of holiday. So if you can clarify on that aspect.
I think careful consideration has been given by the government, and there is a fair balance between the convenience and protocol associated with the arrival of leaders, and also the convenience of normal people, citizens. So that's why the holiday has been declared on 8th, so that they don't have to go to workplace. They can work from home, or if they want to go out of Delhi, that will also facilitate. So, and Saturday and Sunday, in any case, activities are low. The Delhi police has already shared through the newspaper ads the traffic management plan, and some areas are called regulated zone, some areas the controlled zone. So there will be, the sense I get that within the periphery of ring road, there will be more restriction, but outside the life should go normal. Apart from hospitals which are taking care of the requirements of the VVIPs and other delegates, does not mean that the hospital is completely closed for the other requirements. They are on standby for extending any service to the visiting delegation. Otherwise, they'll be working as usual. Life around the hotels and the venues will certainly be restricted. What is important is the Delhi police is sharing all this information with the public through newspaper ads, and they have also created a portal where real-time information is shared about any traffic restriction. The idea is that in the government and the citizens, we become stakeholder in conducting this larger national interest exercise, which is called G20.
Well, thank you so much, sir, to give a view as to how logistics will be planned, how the operations are being planned when it comes to this summit. And this is the summit that the entire country is looking forward to, and you have been playing an important role all throughout the year, and of course the D-Day as well. Well, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sidhant.